Here we go, back in action with the long video format here. Stocks by the numbers. Wanted to do a quick update on SoFi because it had a pretty good day. It was continuously running even throughout the afternoon after Powell spoke and did his little meeting with the little Q&A. And I just wanted to point out that it was right here at this top trend line and just show you a couple of things that I personally saw. So, of course, SoFi Technologies, SoFi, right? This is a tech bank lending company. And the numbers have been growing very well. If you're not familiar with this stock, we have a market cap right here sitting at about 17 billion. The EPS has been solid, beating for the last 4 quarters in a row. And just look at that growth of the overall business over the last 5 years or so. And we can see for 2024 again, we closed out 3.77 billion in revenue, almost half a billion, just shy, in net income. So pretty decent numbers and margins in my opinion, and it does seem like they're continuously growing as well. And you can see going into Q1 of 25, revenue was slightly above Q4 of 24, so that slow, steady growth seems to still be coming in, right? So in the numbers, in my opinion, I do still like SoFi personally. Again, it's just my opinion. But here in the technicals, you can see if we go back from last earnings, right? They came in very nice beat on the revenue there by about 4.25% above estimates. But you can see that if we draw out our trend lines here connecting our tops, and this was right after, let me see, yeah, right after earnings came out, we went up and then we dipped and then we started to channel upward, right? So now if we draw across our bottoms here, what you can see is potentially we're inside of a rising wedge here, right? And what you want to watch for, is to see now if it just opens above this top trend line and it's not wedging and it just starts to climb up here and it goes up to 18 and a half. Could potentially be the next stop. Or are you going to kind of reject now after it hit that top line, right? It just ran 6.5%. And, now are you going to like calm down a little bit, maybe come down, meet up with the moving average, right? And like slowly work your way up. And is this going to be your resistance here? You can see this, this fib level right here, 1583. Is that going to potentially be where it just kind of stops and pauses in the short term, right? Is that going to be its ceiling before we go into these earnings? Again, slated for about the first week of August. So you have about 6 weeks before earnings. You can see estimates 6 cents a share, revenue estimates just above 800 million, 801.83 million expected first week of August for SoFi. So those are the couple of technicals I would watch for. And if you zoom in today, you can see it just about, again, it might not be perfect to the cent, half cent or whatever, but drew out these trend lines here and you can see we just about hit this top trend line here, and also looks like a double top right here at this fib 1542, and then we kind of had a little dip here. But I wanted to show you also, right, Fed came out again, rates unchanged if you weren't aware of this, but kind of saw that coming, even though the markets did a little whipsaw during this like 30-40 minutes here. But you can see at 2, when it was released, SoFi continued to climb, had the big drop here during the Q&A. Everything had a little bit of a drop here. Yeah, it was about 2:45 going into about 3 p.m. and then we had a little bounce. Well, some names had a bounce, I should say. But you can see, I wanted to show you that. Looking down here at the volume, right, this was 2 o'clock, this big green candle up, then it comes down and retests and then bounced. But you can see that from 2, where is it? Right here, okay, from 2, you can see, okay, when I go down here, this thing pops up. There you go. Let me just back out here in general, right? So you can see this is 2. We have a decent amount of volume come in, but then as the afternoon goes on, look at the green volume coming in, right? The buys were outweighing the sells in SoFi even as it was up and after hearing Powell's comments on his Q&A. Right, so we fast forward here to about 2:16, 17, and you can see big volume, right? And then we move out even right before the dip as we topped out. You can see big volume right there. Look at the green, just outweighing the big volume right into the close as well. So the buys definitely outweighed the sells, not only in the early morning, but also in the afternoon after Powell spoke, which is why, again, I'm saying you may want to keep an eye on this trend line here about 1542, 1543, we'll call it to be safe, and see if it wants to pop up and get above that. because again, this is just a predicted pattern. So we could be channeling upward, and even though this usually is a bearish indicator, we may just have a pop up and a break up because we just beat earnings. It's a growing name in the space that still has more potential, but a lot of investors will view it as a quote unquote safe buy because of the consistently growing revenue and business over the last 4 or 5 straight years. And again, the fact that we're coming off some decent earnings beats here consistently over the last several quarters, right? Top and bottom line beats. And you can see that we dropped it and even flattened it out, we'll call it, for the most part over the last couple of quarters, right? So we had the big run up and the breakout, and then we kind of channeled down, flattened it out, and now it may be ready to curl back up. You understand? And you may see now these top fib levels, these top trend lines here, 18, 19 and change, potentially psychological level of 20, and come up and see a flash pop above one of these trend lines. Excuse me. But that's basically what I'm personally watching for on the technical side of SoFi. It's really not one that I personally look to like trade options on, but I know that a lot of short-term traders may have stepped in on shares like down here at like 12, 13, right? So now you're up like a clean 10, 15%. So you want to know, like, is it topped out? Can it keep going? So I understand how shareholders might feel here in the short term, but traders, yeah, in my opinion, that's the level I would keep an eye on. If it happens to break up quickly tomorrow, right, and just keep going, I would still say it looks like you got to keep an eye on this fib right here, 1583. And then I think if it clears that, it looks like next stop could be, like 1685, 17. So those are the couple of technicals you want to watch. And again, on the downside, if you did want to buy puts here, if it hypothetically like opens flat and you think it might reject, again, you can come down and try to play just a meetup with the moving average, because in my opinion, it really shouldn't break and drop down to here like 12. You know what I mean? And if this is a forming wedge in the making, this comes down and rejects, you're looking for a potential meetup here on the 20-day, maybe about 14. But also, if it does stay in this wedge, you're looking like 1365, 1370 could potentially be the low, which I know is about 10% down from here, but something to keep in mind, because if you do play the downside, again, you don't want to get too greedy, and if you do see that drop and it starts to meet up with one or two of these technicals, in my opinion, you may want to take the money and run, but again, that's just me. But that's pretty much all I have to say about SoFi. Just wanted to point out those technicals, so I'll end it there. But, excuse me, stocks by the numbers. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it in the comments. I'm pretty quick to reply. Thumbs up and algorithm, right? All that stuff, that helps out. Leave a comment. But also our handshake agreement, subscribe to the channel, right? That's all I ask. But moving forward, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, and they're very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I'm joking. I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.